Welcome to episode number 5 of the Will It Send Me to Hell podcast, the only Catholic podcast that will
Period.
the only Catholic podcast. My name's Dalton. Joining me today, as always, is my good friend
Michael.
My good friend
That's
Michael.
me.
I've been drinking, all right?
Yeah,
Sometimes
I can
I forget
tell.
these things.
You thought that only Catholic podcast thing was a little too funny.
I was very caught off guard by that. I spend literally all week thinking, like, what am I going to say at the beginning of the podcast, you know? And you little inside baseball, I was just playing Mambo number 5 on my phone into the microphone, and we decided to scrap that one.
No,
that was my
bad
genius.
Idea. Yeah, it was a bad idea for how to start the podcast.
Thinking, 5. What's a joke I make about 5? Mambo number 5.
This is like Sesame Street tier writing. What a joke about 5.
How you been doing, man? It's been a week. You know, we did the 2-week. Well, actually, we've been condensing the amount of time we make these. The first one there was like a week between, and there was like a month between, and then we did 2 weeks. Now we're down to a week. So it hasn't been that long since I've seen you.
Yeah, it's only been a week. I don't know. It feels almost like longer, but
it feels like way longer, dude. It's been a crazy week.
It's just been happening. Yeah, I got a new video out, as you know. It's doing well.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling good about that.
Yeah, I got a new job.
That's cool.
It sucks, by the way.
I thought it was good.
No, it's a good job.
Work. Having a job sucks.
Tell
me about it.
Having a job fucking sucks. And it's going to make it hard to produce this podcast and the stream archives, more videos.
I don't know. You should chill at the very beginning of the stream.
It's just going to...
the podcast.
Look, I don't like having a job, all right?
Yeah.
What are we talking about this week?
We're talking about the movie Pig, featuring Nicolas Cage by Michael Sarnowski.
Michael Sarnowski. This is his first movie.
It's his first movie, which I always enjoy watching directorial debuts.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
It is.
They usually are a little more, open. They don't know what they're doing yet. They don't have set in stone ways of doing things. They're more they go out of their way to do something different usually.
Yeah, and a lot of the times it's like a smaller story.
Yeah,
which is cool. Have you seen? Recently there was the Witch. That was that guy's first movie.
I didn't know that.
That was his. Eggers.
After The Witch, he made
The Lighthouse. Both movies we should talk about it for the show, by the way.
The Lighthouse is a fucking great.
Have you seen Hard 8? That's Paul Thomas Anderson's first movie. That's a great... I would love to do that for the show, actually. I really like that movie.
You ever watch The Following?
Yes!
It's a good movie. It's a great directorial debut.
That's Christopher Nolan's first movie.
Which is nothing like the rest of his movies.
No.
But it's such a good, and it's like a down-to-earth sort of like small plot line of about a guy breaking into people's homes.
Yeah, so, I don't know, this is all to say, it's such a joy to see, like, it's a new director, a new kind of artsy director, he does something interesting.
And just like all these movies, this movie, Pig, is a more condensed, like, down-to-earth plot line, even though it starts out as John Wick with a pig.
Yeah.
It eventually...
That's what you assume it is. When you
the movie starts... Okay, I'd like to point out, this isn't going to come up again, but I argued a little bit about this movie with your wife.
Okay.
And I said... so
He called her on the phone. You listen to me.
As an aside, I said to her, like, so obviously the movie starts out and it seems like it's going to be John Wick. And she would not accept that.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was so obvious.
I think it's pretty obvious, too.
This will work as the synopsis. I'm going to quickly synopsize John Wick and Pig.
Okay.
Man who is depressed over loss of wife/fiance is living with a animal that he got that distracts him from said wife/fiance. That animal is stolen from him, and so he has to leave his life into, strange situation.
Not just strange situation, past.
His past. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just described both movies.
That is a lot like John Wick. I never made all those... I was like, well, obviously there's no guns. I was like... At the basis, it is John Wick.
Until halfway through the movie, it seems like it's just going to turn into John Wick, but it's going to take longer. Because he's going after the pig, and then he's like, they go to find the junkies that stole the pig.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's going to fucking kill these junkies. And then he doesn't. And then he goes into like an underground fighting ring. And it's like, oh, this is John Wick. He's got some sort of criminal past.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, he's a chef.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And then that's a good synopsis.
I think I summarized the movie. I don't think. Yeah, me and Dalton a little more inside baseball, thinking about like. Tell me, actually, the listeners at home, tell me if you agree with this. But we think that the synopsis portion is basically, I think at least, I'm speaking for you, is basically worthless. Like, you really don't need...
I say mostly worthless, but...
Because if you're listening to this, I assume, let me know, you're probably not listening to this because you don't want to watch Pig, but you want to know what happens anyway. You probably want to know the morality and the themes and the, you know what I mean?
Which you'll get, you'll figure out what happens in the movie as we
even if you're not interested in the movie and you just want to hear like going over these themes, then like we don't need to go over. So synopsis over basically is what I'm saying.
I really have nothing else to add to this.
We'll get into everything else about the movie. Yeah, it's a pretty simple plot line. Anyway.
Did you like the movie?
No.
Fuck you, dude! I love this movie.
Let me.
I knew you wouldn't like it.
I've thought about.
Look. I got Michael to watch it. I said he told me what I was saying. Hey, maybe we should do Pig. People were talking about Pig online. Red Letter Media had a video, basically 24-minute video saying you should go watch Pig. It's really good.
Yeah, I didn't watch that video.
So and then someone recommended it to me on the Discord, and I thought, oh, people are talking about Pig. I'll give it a watch. It's only an hour and a half.
Looked interesting.
Yeah. So Michael said, okay, watch it. Tell me if we have something to say about it. I watch it, and I go, I have so much to say about this movie. I could carry the whole podcast. I have so much to say. And then Michael watches it, and I said, hey, did you watch Pig? What'd you think? And he's like, I got nothing. I got nothing to say.
Well, the thing is, now I have more to say because I've thought about it. But I just want to give you my initial impression of this movie. I watched it, and I'm watching it, and it's like I'm engaged. I'm watching this movie. I'm engaged, and about an hour in, this thought comes in the back of my head, like, I don't think I like this movie.
I hate you, dude. I love this movie.
And I was like, fucking ignore that. Get out of my head. Like, just let me finish the movie. I want to like this movie. And then it ends, and it's got a sad ending, right?
I don't even know if
it's got a sad feeling ending with the pig dying and him coming to terms with his wife dying and everything. It's not an upbeat ending.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, it's not upbeat. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
It's not a happy ending necessarily. Upbeat is the best way to put it, probably. But I didn't feel sad at the end. I felt like empty. I watched the end of this movie.
I felt full.
When the movie movie was over, I was just like, what's the point of anything? Like
I got the exact opposite.
I seriously was about? I was like staring in the mirror and like, what does it matter? like I felt like I knew for instance that like the pig was a symbol. We'll get into more of that. But like I was just looking in the mirror like, I don't care. Why does he care that his pig is dead? I don't care. What does it mean? What does it matter? It doesn't matter. None of it matters.
But it.
I know it does.
It does matter.
I'm just telling you my initial emotional reaction was emptiness.
Man.
So did I like the movie? No. I watched the movie again though.
Yeah.
And I may have slightly changed my mind, but I feel like I watched it again trying to justify the movie. And I'm on the edge of gaslighting myself into liking the movie, but ultimately I think I still dislike the movie.
That's crazy.
Well,
that's crazy. Cuz it's got shit in there that I think you would like.
There are things that I almost like. So,
okay.
Let's
start out with the basic morality.
Okay,
and then I will tell you why you're wrong.
Okay, yeah.
So, look, if you're a Catholic guy, you're wondering what's the surface level? Is there nudity? Is there blasphemy. I don't know. Mostly nudity is the big thing.
There's no nudity.
None at all.
None at all. There's not even really any. I don't think there's any sexual situation.
No, not in the whole thing,
movie.
which is kind of a breath of fresh air, really.
Sure. Yeah. There's no Lord's name. I don't think it's taken in vain ever. Maybe once I missed it, but I don't think ever.
Definitely not enough for me to write a note about it. I didn't think about it.
Yeah, I don't remember any. Nothing that comes to mind of like, on surface level, nothing that comes to mind of like that's bad. You know.
There's some violence, but it's not so bad. It's not gratuitous.
It's just him getting the shit beaten out of him.
Yeah.
The beat shitting out of him. I almost said it.
As you know, it's would you show this to your kids?
At a surface level, probably.
Yeah, I probably would too.
You know, the only thing that would hesitate is like he does get the shit beaten out of him. But other than that,
but that happens.
Yeah. There's not too much. That's not too much of a problem.
You're gonna read your kids stories of the saints,
right?
They're gonna
so
say
like
be
worse than shit beaten out of him.
Yeah, he's still got his head by the end of the movie, so
yes.
he's in pretty good shape.
Spoiler. Nicolas Cage keeps his head.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the basic.
At a base
shit.
level, I don't see anything morally.
Transcendental's the true, the good, and the beautiful. We'll just talk beautiful. I think it was beautiful.
I think it's a well shot movie. I think it's like well made insofar as I have problems with the writing and certain ways that they've done different things. And so like certain ways things are portrayed that I assume I'll get more into it, but I've had to come to the assumption that either this director is giving a message that I disagree with and doing that fairly well, or giving a message that I think is good and doing that badly. So I do have problems with the way it was shot and stuff like that. But at a basic level, it's not like a bad looking movie. The score is good and like everything about
everyone was great.
The acting's good. Nicolas Cage is good in it. Although on a second watch, I started to like hate everyone in it. I don't know why, but
you got like issues.
They really started to grate on me. No, they really started to grate on me on the second watch, but realistic enough acting and like they felt like people, you know.
Yeah, I think Nicolas Cage. I guess I'll kind of lead into my theme a little bit. So Nicolas Cage, he's a meme man.
A meme man?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the actor?
Funny, haha.
Not him in the movie.
Yeah, haha. Oh, Nicolas Cage is in a John Wick. I'm looking for my pig. You know, haha. But he's great.
No, he's a good actor. He really is a good actor. He just plays shitty roles sometimes, so he gets associated with that. And he ratchets things up to almost sometimes a comical level, but he's a good actor.
Yeah, and you're watching this and you like forget that that's Nicolas Cage. That's not the bees. That it's that guy.
That's true. The Not the Bees movie is good. By the way,
I
love that movie.
It's okay, but I do like it. It's on the.
I love the atmosphere of that movie. That's
too.
what it is. It's
Wicker
the
Man?
atmosphere.
We should do Wicker Man.
Wicker Man has a great atmosphere. It feels like I'm playing like an old detective game or something.
Oh, it does. It feels like Myst.
Yeah, dude. It feels like Myst. Exactly.
Watch Wicker Man.
Play Myst.
So he's great in it, and I'll tell you why Nicolas Cage was a genius choice for the role.
Okay. The theme is that Nicolas Cage is good.
No,
I like this.
This is part of it. It adds to the theme in a meta sense, and that is sincerity.
Okay.
Sincerity in the face, particularly in the face of like society, in the face of what you think you should be doing.
So if I get this right, you're saying that Nicolas Cage was a good choice for this role because just as the movie is about sincerity, Nicolas Cage is also commonly seen as a goofy actor because of how sincerely he plays his roles.
No.
Oh.
Because he often does over the top crazy shit because he's seen cynically as the not the bees guy. Yeah. You know, even movies like you haven't seen Mandy, have you?
No, I need to watch.
It's almost like he was chosen for that role because he's going to play this over the top.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And it's like that's cool and all, but this is such a sincere role. He's kind of been pigeonholed into the crazy actor guy.
Yeah.
And now he just plays something so straight, so sincere, and so well, too, that I think I think his perceived what so what I'm saying is sincerity in the face of society. What you think you should be doing. Society says Nicolas Cage, crazy actor guy. Mm-hmm. Michael Sarnowski says no. He can be sincere. He's a good actor. Look at him act. In a meta sense, I think it works toward I'm not even talking about what the theme in the movie. I'm starting with the meta. I shouldn't do that. But I'm surprised that you didn't latch onto this, because this is something like latch onto this kind of thematic idea, because you're the one who tells, I don't know shit about this guy, but you're the one who tells me about David Foster Wallace, how he talks about postmodernism.
Yeah, the idea that we will reach a new sincerity.
Yeah.
He killed himself before he ever saw it, but it is happening.
Sad. But I think Pig is a great example of that.
The thing is, I think what I can see where you're coming from. I can see the points of the movie that would point towards this. I just disagree. But I'd love to hear where,
You disagree. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all over. So the big scene in the movie, the one that I've seen on...
I mean, I already know what scene you're talking about. It is a big scene. Like, it's the best scene in the movie.
People are talking about on Twitter.
Oh, really?
It's like, this is the scene of the year. Which, like, I think it's a great movie. Even if you don't think this is a great movie, who's fucking making even decent movies these days? This probably is the scene of the year.
Might be, yeah.
But is when he's talking to Chef Derek in
Eurydice.
What?
Eurydice, I think is what it's called.
Eurydice?
Eurydice is how they say it in the movie.
What does that mean, by the way?
I don't know.
You're Greek. Like an intellectual
it's
guy.
Greek, dude. I don't know. I'll look it up while you talk.
So it's so Chef Derek. So I'm not going to explain the whole movie to you. So Chef Derek is there, and he's an old prodigy, not a prodigy, an old he used to work for Nicolas Cage, for Robin Feld, and he and Robin Feld fired him a long time ago, right?
Right.
Because he overcooked the noodles, the pasta,
right?
And he's got a successful restaurant, right? This guy, he's making so much money, and he's doing stylish shit.
Yeah, like modern, like up its own ass. Restaurant.
Oh, totally. They got the deconstructed scallops, smoked in pine needles, which like seems okay. Scallops are good. You don't need to do all that. To scallops.
Pay $20 to have two. You know what I mean? Or probably $50.
Keep fucking going.
Yeah, I know.
I don't even to a restaurant. They keep fucking
going. But I mean,
going,
those
dude.
are two scallops. You know what I mean? Like, it's even $20 is an outrageous price.
Yeah. So Chef Derek, he's got a really successful restaurant doing this, and Nicolas Cage is just fucking cutting him down. He's saying like, he asks him, when I fired you, you told me, I asked you what you wanted to do, and you said an English pub.
Yeah.
Right? And he did nothing like that. So this man chose to do what he thought he should do. He followed the money, he followed society, and he started this really highfalutin restaurant. And, it makes a lot of money, but just like Nicolas Cage says, every day there will be less of you. Yeah. He sacrificed his own dreams, his own sincerity for money. And this is like, it's the idea of him just not even being there is all over the scene, because he's being cut down and he's got a big smile on his face.
I think one of the biggest things that makes the scene is whoever that actor, amazing acting, like really convincing.
It was
like
weird.
Him being like uncomfortable and like stuttering and like very well done. His teeth.
His teeth fucking bug me.
Yeah,
they're big teeth,
sharp, like weird kind of jagged teeth.
Yeah,
he's a great actor.
But yeah, and he's doing this whole like corporate thing the whole time. He's like he has him like, because he's looking for his truffle pig. He's like, oh, truffles, that's a real burgeoning business. It's like it's all memorized. It's all a script.
It's all fake.
He's not fucking real.
It's all phony.
It's all phonies. They're the phonies. Mm-hmm. Are we talking about Catcher in the Rye?
That's what I was
Should
thinking.
We do something about these people? Yeah. But and it's like, I don't know. How it got to me is like, look, you've listened to this podcast, you feel the same way. Fucking everything is like that, especially in business. You know what I mean? It's just none of it's real. These people aren't real.
I agree for sure, but would you agree that Nicolas Cage is a hypocrite in that scene?
He's a somewhat of a hypocrite for most of the movie until the end.
Okay, I will at least agree with you that for the most of the movie, he's a hypocrite.
Because he goes through the same journey as other people, where he also needs to face reality, face sincerity. He's not all there because he's looking for a pig, but really he just needs to accept that his wife is gone.
Yeah, and I guess that's why the first time watching the scene, it was like, what a great fucking scene. And this was before I had any notion of like, I don't like this movie.
Yeah.
It was like, what a great scene. Watching it the second time though, it was like, what a fucking hypocrite. I don't know if I like this scene anymore. Like, it really did get to me like, and I know that's partially the point of the movie. But I just really started to dislike the characters.
I'll tell you, when I watched that scene the second time, it did seem almost like a little cartoony to me.
Yeah.
It's just like slightly over the top.
Yeah, the first time it's like that resonates. The second time it's like it doesn't hold up.
But look, because I just watched this movie and I'm all about sincerity, I'm not going to cut down this scene. I think almost the fact that it is over the top might almost make it better.
Well, it's also
because we're not, movies aren't supposed to just portray reality exactly as it is. And I think the fact that it is a little over the top is kind of part of it.
Well, but it's not just that, because it's not just the fact that Nicolas Cage is hypocritical, like kind of in general through most of the movie. It's also that the scene starts, and this happens a couple times. This is the way that the director seems to like to do this, is he starts a scene with an example of someone doing something that you're supposed to look at it as the audience and say, that's fucking dumb, what an idiot.
Yeah.
And then Nicolas Cage goes on to do the same thing, and you just don't really notice that, like, it's the same thing. Which happens in that scene where the scene starts with the waitress going on about this bullshit about, like, you need to break down your preconceived notions so that you can grow as a person. And it's like, what fucking absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And then Nicolas Cage basically says the same thing to the guy, except just way better. But, like, he really kind of does say the same thing. The same thing happens at the beginning of the movie.
No, he doesn't.
I think he does.
No, because when the waitress is doing it, it's manufactured sincerity. It's not real sincerity. So when it starts out right after the scene with the child, which, boy, do I have stuff to say about that scene. And then so Nicolas Cage is walking away from the kid, and then the voiceover of the waitress
starts,
and it's like, what is this, like a
cult?
Like, yeah, or like some kind of lecture, and then it's a waitress introducing you to scallops. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Right. It's very phony, but at the same time, is Nicolas Cage less phony? Because why is the woman phony? Because she doesn't actually believe any of that. You know what I mean? It's just a line she's reading because
she's just making money doing it.
She's making money doing it.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage is giving a line that he either doesn't believe in himself or just doesn't follow himself. It still feels
how does he tell me? How does he not believe in that line?
Well, he's telling the guy to do what he like. He's telling him to like follow his dreams and do like face reality, like face the reality. He's saying that what the reality is that these people don't exist and that you're wasting away by not doing what you're supposed to be doing. But
yeah,
Nicolas,
what a
Nicolas
caring
Cage
thing to say. What a caring he's gonna give this guy a better life because of that.
Sure, but Nicolas Cage isn't doing anything like that himself.
I stand between you and a unfulfilling life. That fucking line from Harassment Architecture. Anyway.
But Nicolas Cage is also just in a different way. I don't know if it's. I'm trying to reconcile how it's directly comparable, but like he's not fixing his life. I guess it's the basic thing. Like he's telling this guy you need to fix your life, and he's not. Like it feels similarly hypocritical, similarly fake.
So I guess maybe where the issue would come down to would be what is Nicolas Cage's dream?
Yeah, so that's why it's not directly comparable, because we don't know if Nicolas Cage has some sort of ambition. He's clearly avoiding his previous dream of cooking, but there's no indication that he wants to go back to cooking, other than the fact that he seems to cook very good meals at the beginning of the movie. He cooks
a mushroom, rustic mushroom tart. Which is very interesting to me. I would love to try that.
It looked good, but other than that, there's no indication that like he wants to go into cooking, but he's scared to because it'll remind him of his wife. There's no indication of that.
Yeah.
So it's not directly comparable.
No,
he just feels hypocritical.
So okay, so we have the scene with Chef Derek, and he's being corporate the whole time. He can't even tell. He can't even say like an honest word. You know what I mean? Like he's just so not there. And part of what I think is interesting about this, and this comes up a few different times in the movie, is like a little bit of reality is revealed, and people will just reject it entirely.
I agree with that. That's definitely shown in the movie.
Which is interesting and fucking real life. If you're listening to this, try having a real conversation with your parents.
Well, hopefully some people have
hopefully some of you guys have
parents.
a cool family or something.
Yeah.
But just tell your parents how you feel about certain issues.
Yeah.
And just see how fast they turn on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it depends on the parents. This is definitely not all people are like that, but I think I think more people than they realize are.
Yeah,
because it's like I guess I never really thought about that or talked to my parents about a serious issue, which is like, why would you not talk to your parents about a serious issue? That's a concern of itself. Yeah. But then you'll do it, and it's like, oh.
Try and tell them about something that you really care about.
I mean, I don't have this experience for example, but not because I had good parents.
Yeah, well, there are certain things that, around my family I'm kind of past that now. I just don't give a shit. But you kind of you'll see some true colors because people don't want to accept like reality in any sense at all.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
where this comes in the movie,
challenge preconceived notions.
Yes,
like the waitress said.
So interesting. You remember? It just was gobbledygook to me what she was saying.
I just saw it last night. I watched it the second time. So yeah, I remember that.
I couldn't even process.
Well, because at that point I was already going into it that like I think Nicolas Cage is kind of a hypocrite in this movie. So I'm like, I wonder what she says compared to what he says.
All right, but let me tell you, people rejecting reality immediately when they see it.
Yeah,
which is
pearls before swine. Swine, pig.
But I was gonna say it's also almost somewhat biblical. Like, really, Pharisees? Come on. Come on, fucking God. Really? But that's not that biblical. So where it happens in the movie is...
Pearls before swine, though. There might
Pearls
be
before
something
swine. Pig.
There might be something there.
So, like, right when he's telling Chef Derek all this shit, he downs the whole glass of wine, which is kind of played for laughs, but like...
Which is also the same reaction the father has later.
Exactly.
It's the exact same thing.
Reaction the father has.
That's why I don't drink, my friend. Cheers.
Cheers. I'm going to have a drink right now.
Yeah, I'm not drinking. I just said cheers to make fun of you.
But the one with Amir's father is even more interesting. Well, I guess Amir also denies reality in his...
He does.
When his mother is dying. It's kind of unclear. I have a few things to say about that. So there's just a few examples, and I'm sure there's a few more, but those are the big ones. But it's even more interesting when Amir's dad denies reality. He goes right to have a big glass of scotch.
Yeah.
Good on him. And then he tells Nicolas Cage, quote, "Why are you doing this?"
Yeah.
Like, why are you making me feel something?
The thing is, though, that's fundamentally like... I gotta stop. I say fundamentally way too much. That is a very good question. Why is Nicolas Cage doing this? I mean, it's to get his pig bag, but at the same time, it's like... It's the strangest
because
way.
At the end, Nicolas Cage says, "What if I made this guy feel something?
Yeah.
Then maybe I can have a real conversation." Because the conversation that Nicolas... We're going all over the place. Who cares?
Yeah, whatever.
So the conversation that Nicolas Cage has... Robinfeld is Nicolas Cage. That he has with Amir's father... Is he named, by the way?
No, I didn't. I don't know, but I couldn't remember his name. I know Amir is the one guy's name, although I had forgotten that.
He will be referred to as Amir's father the whole time.
Yeah, that's fine.
When he the first conversation he has with Amir's father is just like he's just so macho, like he's so just putting on an act. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think at that point Nicolas Cage says, "I gotta be real with me, buddy. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make you the meal that is gonna make you fucking cry."
Yeah.
And then maybe we can have a real conversation. And he was right. And then they did.
Well, they didn't have much of a conversation. It was pretty...
He got the truth.
It wasn't a heart-to-heart. He got the truth, though.
He got the truth.
Yeah.
You know? And it's...
This is something I haven't really thought about, but I think it's worth mentioning. Did he get the truth? I don't think this is the case, but I want to put it out there for just to have it out in the conversation.
You been drinking?
No.
We're just having a nice confrontation, Oscar.
It was just a stroke. Don't worry about it. But no, see, I don't even know if I want to say it anymore because there's no reason to believe it. I have to entertain an idea before I can say yes or no to it. You know what I mean? So I was just entertaining in my mind. I was thinking about the fact of maybe he lied to Nicolas Cage. Is it possible?
No, there's no evidence.
It doesn't make thematic sense. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't. No. I just had to mull that over real quick. No, that's dumb. If any of you think that, that's stupid.
So in the first conversation that Nicolas Cage has with Amir's father, he says, or the dad offers Nicolas Cage $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 to just
jokingly
walk away.
$20 million.
Yeah, joke. Yeah, But what is? I still need to comprehend this part of the movie. That this man would rather spend $25,000 than admit that he fucked up. That not even that something embarrassing happened in regards to him.
The only thing that makes sense to me with that, because I thought about that too, it's a strange part of the movie. The only thing that makes sense is that it's just pride, right?
Yeah.
Because he's willing even to threaten Nicolas Cage and say, I will kill the pig if you don't take this deal and leave.
Yeah.
But he's not willing to say, Nicolas Cage comes and where's my pig? And like, it died. You know, like that would have ended. That's it. Don't have no reason to fucking bug me.
But he's got to be fucking Mr. Macho Man.
He's putting on a show.
He is putting on a show because he can't be sincere because he feels like he has to be Mr. Macho Man. Because this is how he has been. This is how he runs his business. He cannot be sincere in the face of societal pressure.
How did Amir put it? He's
locked in. He's
locked in.
I love that. He's locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's locked in. I just made that connection. He is in a prison of his own creation. And he actually is.
He actually is. That's
a genius line.
That's a good line.
That's
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Amir as well is not to the same extent as his father. He's doing what he feels society wants him to do, which is make a truffle business. That's the most, he knows kind of a little bit about it.
He's mostly doing what he thinks his father wants him to do.
Societal pressure still.
Sure.
And he doesn't seem like he has thought that much about it. He just kind of thinks that's what I'm going to do to get to my father, to impress him. Mm-hmm. But how I kind of interpreted the scene at the end where he's in his Charger. It's not a Challenger, it's a Charger.
It's a Camaro.
It's a Camaro?
Yeah.
That's a better choice than the other two.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm giving my car opinions.
It's a better. You mean better choice as a car? I thought you meant better choice for the character. No, I think it's a better choice for the character.
He's he's sitting back and then he leans forward. You see the tears run down his face. I kind of interpret that as like he's rethinking his life.
Possibly.
I don't think that's that crazy to think about.
Possibly.
So it kind of seems like he hasn't thought that much about his career choice, but he's going from societal pressure, and now he has learned to not do that because that's what Nicolas Cage hasn't done. Also, there's so much evidence for this, man. What are you even going to talk about, man? I'm destroying you. There's when Nicolas Cage talks to his other former employee,
right,
who took over his restaurant at the end. Mm-hmm. She turned it into a bakery. You know what would be the most obvious career path for her? Is just keep doing the same restaurant. But that's not her. She's a baker. So she turned it into a bakery. She would probably make more money. It would make so much more sense, like business-wise, to keep up this restaurant run by Nathan Feld, who's a big guy in this world. Restaurant. But she can't do it. That's not her. She has to be sincere. She doesn't want to live a life that's not hers. So she decides to turn it into a bakery because she says, I'm a baker.
I think I'm with you so far.
And that scene, you could really analyze it, but look, artistically, how it's shot, it's so warm. The actors are so nice, and we're clearly supposed to say, this is great.
Yeah.
This is how life should have been lived. And even when Nicolas Cage is leaving, he says, like, oh, you took down the curtains, because he had curtains up. And she says, like, yeah, Laura always wanted them down. This seemed better. This seemed nicer down. And he says, like, yeah, you're right. But he doesn't think that because he left the curtains up. But she's right because that was her.
Okay, a bit of a stretch, but I see what you're saying.
That might be a little bit more of a stretch.
Here's the thing. Unless you have something else to say about this real quick, but...
I'm just muting my phone real quick because I realized I didn't mute it.
Good idea. But I think I'm with you so far, but like I can see this in all these different aspects of the movie. It makes sense. The idea of that the movie's message is to not bend to societal pressures and do what's like more sincere to yourself. How does that tie into Nicolas Cage? Like at the end, for instance.
Don't you want to just live out in the woods?
But he was doing that at the beginning.
But now he doesn't have a pig. That is harder to square. I will tell you that.
The thematic analysis here, I think, works for every character except the main character.
Yeah.
Who, like, he's not shown to be, like, now going after his dream or living more sincerely. He goes, like, because...
He is living more sincerely.
Well...
Because he's listening, he's like, kind of... When he listens to the tape, obviously that means he's accepted his wife's death.
I disagree.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'll go into that.
I think that is what is clearly meant to portray.
No. Okay. I disagree.
All right. Interesting.
But what I mean, though, at the very least, everyone else... Well, not everyone. Everyone else at least had something that they were... how should I put this? Basically, I don't see Nicolas Cage fundamentally changing his life in any way. Nothing changed. He is in... It's like Ring Theory. He's back at the exact beginning of the movie. But, like, he hasn't... Even if he's living... Like, he's not living more sincerely in any way. He might be, you could say, like, now he's accepting that his wife is dead. But that's not, like... His life isn't changing. It's shot in a way where it's like, this is the same as it was before. You know? The realization of his wife being dead does not seem to have influenced his life in any way, I guess is a way to put it.
Well, the movie ends.
Right. Well,
Maybe
that means something that it ends there without giving any indication that it goes anywhere.
He looks up. The last shot is him looking up.
Yes, he does look up. I have a big note underlined because the second viewing, that's I'll go into how I feel about this movie. And the one thing that makes me think maybe this is a good movie is that at the end, he looks up. And I'm not joking. I think this movie is like basically nihilistic. But then he looks up. And so I'm not kidding at all. Like I have to I've been like, I'm torn, and I'll get into it more, but like
so there's two things that there's so much that works well with what I'm saying, but there's two things that don't. And one is kind of Nicolas Cage's arc, because he doesn't have that much of one. He has a pretty low one. It doesn't that much happens with him.
I agree.
It's that, and where I guess you could kind of write this off, but it's kind of a big deal.
Keep going.
He's Michael's turning I was wondering when we were going to turn that fan off. And the other one is when Nicolas Cage tells Amir, 10,000 years ago, if you came here, we'd be under 400 feet of water.
Yeah, he does say that, doesn't he? And they call back to it later.
Yeah, and it's like...
What's that about?
What's that about, Nicolas Cage? And my wife told me, I was like, that's kind of a weird scene. She's like, I just took that as, oh, this man has not dealt with the death of his wife. And I was like, yeah, I think there might be more there, because that's a lot for a whole big monologue like that, to just say that. So that one I'm having a harder time processing. And, but is that true, by the way? About an earthquake gonna just destroy Portland?
It sounds like the kind of... I mean, the whole West Coast is on the fucking ring of fire. I could see it being true, but I don't know.
Gosh, wouldn't that be great?
all that carnage, the death, the destruction. Oh, wipe it all clean.
But yeah, that's those parts baffle me. A little bit more. You know what I mean?
I do, yeah. Those are like almost points where, like, yeah, I think my interpretation goes a little better.
Yeah, but mine makes... What about the scene with the child?
The scene with the child. Well, at one level, I think the scene with the child is a very in the language of film. Mm-hmm. I think it's a very clear him avoiding death once again, because literally the kid asks. He goes back to his old house, and he's in the back talking to the kid, and he's like, "Oh, what happened to the persimmon tree?" And he said, "I don't think we have a persimmon tree." And the kid asks.
No, he says, "What's a persimmon?"
Oh, that's right. And then says, yeah. But what I mean is, at the end, he says, did it die? Cut. It's a visual representation of Nicolas Cage's inability to deal with death. Because, did it die? Cut. Conversation, scene, over. Like, that's it. You mentioned death, scene, over. Which is funny because he mentions death himself when he's talking about like the city being underwater. But him in his old house talking about death, gone. You cannot, scene over.
Yeah.
So I think in one respect, the scene is just another way of showing that he's not able to move on from his wife dying.
Yes, but also
okay.
We see the most sincere character in the film.
The child?
Which is the child.
Okay.
Matthew chapter 18. Amen, I say to you, unless you be converted and become as little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. What other character would have just said, "What's a persimmon?" Just so earnestly.
Yeah. True.
Who else? True. Who else would have said, "Does your face hurt?"
A few other people asked, "Do you need medical attention?"
I can only think of one. There might be another one, but the other one I can think of is Chef Derek, which is only after he realizes that it's
who it is.
Robin Feld.
Before he noticed it was before he knew it was someone famous, he did not comment on the big head wound.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I think that scene comes right after the kid scene. So I think we're like obviously supposed to juxtapose that in our mind. The kid's just like, so honestly, does your face hurt? You know, and he offers him the instrument to play. Like, would you like to try to play this? It's such a beautiful scene. And then right after is like the most mind-blowingly shallow man you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. I think there's also a little bit of a symbol. So Nicolas Cage looks like garbage the whole movie.
Mm-hmm. He's got an open head wound the entire movie.
He's like bleeding.
He never cleans his open head wound. Like
yeah, you think after he's in the underground fight there's a underground fighting club of just restaurant employees.
Yeah, which I love. And at first it says that like if like before you know that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, if your name means something, they'll bid big. Mm-hmm. And at first it's like, oh, so he used to be like a fighter or something. And it's like, no, he's a famous restaurateur. The guy who probably beat the shit out of him was probably like an old employee that hated his guts.
Yeah.
Like that's what this is. It's a way for them to like for restaurant workers to vent their frustration and like beat the shit out of their bosses for $1,000 or something.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I don't think I thought enough about that scene.
Oh, really?
I think there might be a lot to supporting my theory with that, but it's what is more sincere than punching a man in the face?
I mean, I guess, dude. I don't know. Seems like a bit of a stretch to me.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I wish I had kind of thought. I kind of put that one out of my mind a little bit because it's so early in the movie. It's kind of before you really start to dig into the. You still think you're watching John Wick at that point in the movie.
Yeah.
What the fuck was I talking? Oh yeah, he looks like shit the whole movie. Mm-hmm. He doesn't shower. There's even a line about that at the beginning. Amir's saying like, "Do you want to shower here?" And Nicolas Cage says nothing.
He says nothing at all. Yeah.
So he's gross and he's covered in blood.
Yeah.
But he doesn't clean himself at any point.
Nope.
Because he is who he is.
That's if that's supposed to be the message, that is the worst way you can convey that message. Because there's a huge pitfall to the idea of like just be yourself.
I know, yeah, I know.
Which is like you suck, so don't be yourself. You know, like, and it's like you smell. Stop being a smelly person and become a non-smelly version of yourself.
Virgin.
Right?
You said virgin.
I didn't say virgin.
You did. Play back. He said be a non-smelly virgin of yourself.
You're putting words in my mouth.
Okay.
But yeah, it's. I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to say about that. But
I think it's a symbol, and
I think it is.
I think it might be a poorly chosen symbol, but I think it is one nonetheless.
I think it's clearly a symbol because if most most directing, you're going to try and make your characters look realistic.
Yeah.
And no one in their right mind would leave a gaping head wound just around.
Yeah.
So it clearly has some sort of
something.
meaning to it.
Yeah. That's
You
that's
sound
what I have to
enthused.
say.
Yeah, you sound enthused about it.
That's my point. Is it's about sincerity, and it's about don't be fucking fake and a slave to modern society. Make your own decisions, which could go either way in theory, but because we live in a hell world, probably that's, all things considered, that's a good that's a good message.
Sure.
And especially because it's about sincerity and not about like do what you want to do to go make money. It's about do what you want to do to enjoy life. Do something you care about. Nicolas Cage says you only get so many things in life to really care about.
We only get so many things.
I
think. I shouldn't correct you when I'm not sure.
Yeah, especially when it's such a minor point and it makes no difference.
Words are important, dude. Words matter.
I think that will send you to heaven. Good movie.
The thing is, it's hard for me to seriously consider a theme that does not cover the main character of the movie. That theme makes sense. It
not as much as the other characters.
Most themes are mostly about the main character, I'd say.
Yeah, but we're not.
Is that what society would expect you to do?
Thank you, man.
I don't think that.
I was going to say, what if Amir is the main character? I think he might be.
The movie's called Pig. He doesn't have a pig.
The pig's not the main character.
The pig's important.
The pig is not important.
The pig's not important to Amir. But the movie's called Pig.
Why is the movie called Pig?
I can tell you. We'll have to go into it.
Can I take a leak?
Yeah, you can take a leak. Yeah, fine.
You want to pause it real quick? All right, I feel relieved now. I'm not so on edge.
Good. Do you want to do the midway? I didn't expect to necessarily structure this as you give your points and then I give mine, like we're having a debate. But this seems like a good midpoint.
This seems like a good, yeah. Well, there is. So.
If you've got more to say, keep going.
Well, I don't know exactly when to mention this because it's not like a thematic thing. But I think practically, this is just information I want people to know. So, Amir's mother is, we don't know exactly what's wrong with her. It seems like a botched suicide attempt, right?
Maybe. I didn't even think about it. I kind of thought he was just lying when he said suicide, or it was like suicide in like a metaphorical sense.
That's not the lie I would choose. That's a pretty crazy lie.
Fair.
If you were going to lie, you
but
would say
he also lied saying she's dead instead of saying she's in the hospital. So that's not the lie I would choose either.
Yeah, but
I guess it's easier to say to somebody that they're dead, but it's not easier to say to somebody that they're dead from suicide. So that doesn't really.
Look. So he's about image, right? Mm-hmm. So suicide. If his mom commits suicide, that's bad for your image, man.
But then why did he tell Nicolas Cage that his mom committed suicide?
I don't know. Look, it doesn't matter. That's not what I'm saying.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah,
that's not what I'm saying. His mother is in
the hospital.
Is in a coma.
Or something. It seems to be a coma.
Yeah, because why won't Dad just let you die? So clearly this is a chronic thing.
That line I did not enjoy.
Well, let me tell you.
It's vague, but
it is vague, and this is so thematically it's not really important what's going on with her, but
no.
Practically, as a Catholic, there are many instances which makes it not okay to pull the plug. There are some that are. So
it's complicated, but yeah.
It's very complicated, and I was kind of in this situation somewhat recently. So I just want people to know, PSA.
Yeah.
That there's ordinary care and extraordinary care. And in most cases, if the person in a coma or just bedridden completely or unconscious or whatever, if they're still taking food, water, and things like that, that's ordinary care. If you stop giving them, they die of starvation. you know? Then there's extraordinary care, which could be anything. There's a number of if a machine that's breathing for you or whatever, or maybe you have organ failure completely, and eating won't even do anything for you at that point anyway. So then you die of the organ failure, but not of food. So I'm just telling you, if you're in a situation in which you have a family member or someone you care about, and it's like, geez, what do I do about this? Please think really, really hard. And also, there's the National Catholic Bioethics Center. You can go to their website. You can contact them, and they will just answer your question for you because it's complicated. Yeah. If you read like the saints and everything, it's kind of straightforward in the past whether or not you let someone live or die. But with modern medicine, it's very difficult. So please don't take that decision lightly. Really do your research, because I don't want anyone listening to this to go to hell.
Well, and it is good to like I think that an example that comes to mind is like if your loved one or something is like in a situation where you need to like transfuse their blood every day, put in someone's new blood because their blood isn't pumping or something. That's extraordinary care. Yeah. That's a situation where pulling the plug is like, this person is going to die. Like eventually you're going to run out of blood. You're not going to be able to do this, get as many donations. Like that's a very clear, like that makes sense. On the other hand, because this is a situation where people would pull the plug but shouldn't, is they're in a coma and the doctor tells you they'll never wake up. But the only thing you're giving them to keep them alive is food and water. Yeah. And if you keep giving them food and water, they won't die. Yeah. But the doctor will tell you, hey, this shit is fucking expensive to keep them in a room here. So you need to pull the plug. Mm-hmm. Don't do it. You are because like you said,
there are instances where like excessive financial hardship might affect things, but in that case where it's just food and water, that's a little different.
But the doctor will encourage you to kill them
because it clears up space, and they don't care about murder.
No, they don't. The Hippocratic Oath is hypocritically not used anymore. But you're starving them to death. That's like you said.
Yeah, exactly.
They are, as a family member, you owe them like feeding them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it would be wrong of you to just watch them starve to death. And that is what you're doing if all they need...
To choose to starve them to death. That is murder.
Right, exactly. You are deprived... Yeah.
If they have organ failure and food will do nothing, that's not murder. That's organ failure.
That's organ failure. Yeah, exactly.
So, It's a little raw point for me, but I really want people to know that they can contact the National Catholic Bioethics Center. NCB Center. .com or org. I should have prepared that more, but look that up. Because I wouldn't want a tragedy to happen. I don't want you to get to the pearly gates and God's like, bro, I would let you in, man, but
there is the element of ignorance that's chosen versus non-chosen ignorance.
Now you
know, so you have the responsibility. Yeah. But before this, it's like it's one of those situations where if you were in the situation where your family member is dying, it's hard to believe that it wouldn't cross your mind, should I pull the plug? Should I not pull the plug? Right? Yeah. And if you think that to yourself, should I pull the plug? Should I not pull the plug? And then you're just like, whatever, I'll pull the plug. Then it doesn't matter that you didn't know that was immoral. Because
you didn't even look into it. You
didn't even look into it. You chose ignorance. I think it was an Augustine quote or something that you won't be judged for ignorance. You will be judged for choosing ignorance. Mm. Yeah, and it's true. You know.
You want to know something crazy?
What?
So my dad doesn't really have that many people in his life. Too much anymore. I'm his only kid.
Right.
I would be the natural choice to make that decision. I'm not.
You don't have like power of attorney or whatever it is?
I do have power of attorney of everything, but I don't have power to pull the plug.
Really?
Because I told him, like, dude, look into Catholic teaching on that.
You told him you won't pull the plug.
Yeah, I said, like, I probably won't.
Yeah. Like anything. Yeah. So he gave it to somebody who will kill him.
Yeah.
That's depressing, dude.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Your dad makes a lot of jokes about how if he's in a bad medical situation, he will shoot himself in the head.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I told him, like, look it up, man, but I'm probably not the guy you want. I'm going to keep you around, fucker.
Jeez.
So, he might listen to this, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and hopefully he'll say, like, Damn, you're right. But yeah, we'll see. Oh, I have a different
I thought you
alarm going
fucking...
Oh, no. That was an alarm to tell me to take the garbage to the curb. I guess someone's not taking the garbage to the curb tonight.
I didn't do it either.
And that leads us to
the intermission.
The intermission. Welcome to the intermission, everybody. This is the part of the show where we take a little break.
If you're just tuning in.
So, while I get the emails going, why don't you tell people how they can support the show?
Okay, so, you listen to most podcasts, and either at the very beginning, or in the middle like this, or at the end, they give you some stupid fucking spiel about how you should pay for NordVPN.
Raycon.
Or you should buy Raycons. Or you should buy Tito's homemade vodka.
Blue Chew.
All this
Blue
stupid
Chew pills.
All this stupid shit that none of them have actually used in their lives and are being just paid to... Here's the thing. You want to promote a product that you like, that's one thing. But these people are... Their opinions are being informed by this. You think that news podcast that's talking about Tito's homemade vodka, whatever the fuck, you think they're going to cover the news story that Tito's causes cancer or some shit? Or even that alcohol... Maybe there's some news story that alcohol is bad for you. You think they're going to cover that when they're sponsored by fucking Tito's? Mm-hmm. No. That's why we don't take sponsorship. It would just be wrong to cover something moral and have a sponsorship of any kind. We can't really have, unless it's like, I don't know, an anti-porn thing or something, but even then, you don't want to be biased towards or against something. I'm biased against porn already, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
I don't want Blue Chew to sponsor me because I'll say you can only buy this if you're married. And even then, probably just fix your diet.
Yeah. Well, that's even the thing about me and Dalton had more backyard baseball.
Backyard.
What's the term? Inside baseball.
Yeah.
More backyard baseball.
Is backyard baseball the PS2 game?
Yeah, it was on PC. I played it on PC.
Okay.
In class, because school is good, but we actually I discussed this with Dalton because he addressed the idea of maybe taking sponsorships, and he was like, "What about like an anti-porn thing or something?" And it's like, well, fundamentally, I don't like even if some anti-porn thing approached me and said like, "Hey, we have this program that helps people stop watching porn," I would tell them like, "Yeah, I know a better method, so I don't feel comfortable advertising with you." All of this to say,
sincerity.
All of this to say. That I at least, I think both of us are pretty against taking sponsorship or advertiser money because it will necessarily bias us towards or against things that we need to be able to look at with a clear mind, an unbiased perspective other than the biases of being fucking Catholic or something. But because of that, we don't take sponsorship money. Because of that, we're poor. So because of that...
Do you want to know how much money I have in my bank account right now?
How much?
$900.
Nice, dude.
I have a wife and child.
That's less than me unless you include my upcoming bill, in which case you have more than me.
Cool. Look, we need help.
But so what I'm saying, what we're saying is because of that, rather than take money from these big corporations that want to turn your like son into a woman... And seriously,
allegedly,
and like get rid of Tito's, and they want to like clearly get rid of the population of the earth. They all believe in overpopulation and want to do anything they can to make it so you can't reproduce. HRT makes it so you can't reproduce. Just a fun fact that people don't know about. Just a fun fact. But because
what company would support a podcast that just says that shit?
There's another point. Yes, exactly.
Look. Okay, are we gonna get?
We're actually just.
Are we gonna get regular companies? No. Fucking listen to our podcast. Are we gonna get Catholic companies? No, because we call shit gay and stupid.
Yeah. We're actually just coping about the fact that we're unmarketable. But because of that, we're approaching you, the viewers / did I say viewers? Listeners / producers.
Yes.
You, the only people I feel comfortable being biased towards is you. If you would like, so for this show to continue, we need your support, not the support of the company that wants to turn you gay.
Yeah.
So we're asking for your money.
So we're like, and like seriously, if this is something, if you're getting value out of this, we
live in a new era.
Yeah, we do.
We live in an era. So there used to be a time when you pay for a product and then you consume it. Unless it's a restaurant where you consume the product but then pay for it. But it's
weakening your own point.
But it's implied that you'll buy it. Anyway, we used to live in an era where you buy something and then you consume it.
Yeah. We
now live in an era where it is much more common for, especially online, to consume something and then buy it. This is what this is how piracy works for a lot of people. A lot of people say that like piracy is bad for the industry, of any industry. It's not. They've shown that some of the most pirated things are the things that those same pirates buy all the merchandise and shit.
Yeah.
Because what they do is they pirate fucking Game of Thrones or something, which don't watch that. And then they buy all the merchandise afterwards because they liked it. They give what they think it's worth. I've done this before. I'm not admitting to any crimes, FBI, but I have sampled games before where I've played them, right?
Yeah.
To see if I liked it, because people don't make fucking demos anymore. Partially, that's part of the problem with video games. Blockbuster doesn't exist. What am I going to go to Redbox? Guess I could do that. But I'll sample something and then I'm like, that was fucking good. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy a t-shirt of it or some shit, or I'm going to give them more money than they're asking for because I want to support these people. That's the new model. That is, the boomers out there don't realize that this model is coming about, but that is the new model for consuming media, is that you try it, then you buy it, and it does not have a set price. Like Bandcamp, where they pay what you want, right? That is the model of the future. We believe in that model. Value for value. What do you think this is worth? We don't tell you what it's worth. We don't say the podcast costs $5 or the podcast is free. The podcast is, you listen to it, and what is it worth? Is it worth $5? Is it worth $100? Is it worth $1,000? I have no fucking idea what you think it's worth. Maybe it saves your life and you come be my slave for the rest of it. I don't know what you think it's worth.
Yeah.
Maybe it's worth you sharing it or writing a good review on iTunes, because please do that. Maybe. I don't know. But whatever you think it's worth, that's what it's worth, and you're morally obligated to give us that. I think.
It's stealing if you don't.
Sure.
Because that's the new model.
That's the new model. This is the new model. If you don't like it, you've tried it, you don't like it, move on with your life.
Stop listening.
Yeah. That's fair.
That's fair.
I try a game, I don't like it, I move on.
For a limited time
I don't pay for it.
For the next 8 weeks, you could give us value by reviewing us on iTunes. Look,
if you live in Brazil and you have no money.
Yeah, exactly.
If you live in... Oh, go.
I don't have an Apple account. Who uses Apple? 60% of podcast listeners, bitch, use Apple. Oh, I'm not going to make an account and everything for these guys. That's what we're asking you to do. It's inconvenient for you. It's value. We need it. If we can get on New and Noteworthy, could you imagine? You said this on your stream. Could you imagine a world in which this podcast is on New and Noteworthy? That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's such a great timeline to be a part of.
Imagine a world. I just want you to think about this. Imagine a world where some regular guy, regular woman, that's even better somehow.
Cute woman.
Some cute, misguided woman, blue hair, is scrolling through iTunes and will it send me to hell? I wonder if that's like an ironic name or something. I'm going to listen to that. New and Noteworthy. Oh, it must be good. And she gets bombarded with this show. Nothing would make me happier.
She might marry one of you guys.
Nothing would make me happier than the emotional breakdown she has after listening to a couple episodes.
Yeah.
So if you want Stacey Abrams, is that a real name?
Yeah, that's a real. She's a newscaster U.S. government.
If you want Stacey Smith I'm talking to you, Stacey, to break down emotionally and completely reconsider her entire life, leave us a review on iTunes.
Please, and
that's payment. I mean, you don't have any money, you're poor, you live in Brazil, you live in somewhere less poor than Brazil.
So all that being said, we actually do have 2 producers today.
That's right. This is worth mentioning. If you give to the show, then you are a producer, and that is a real credit. Now, if you write a review on iTunes, you can't put that on your resume. But if you send us money, you can. Legitimately, we will back you up. If an employer calls and say, "Hey, they help produce the show," I will say yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because you did. That
have
is what a producer does. When you see in the credits of some big movie where it says executive producer, there are two options. Either one, they had tons of control over every part of the movie, or two, they gave him like $10,000.
Yeah. And they just want the credit.
Or
they believe in the product, but that says a lot about them, and they put it on their resume. So our executive producer today is Matthew. Give it up.
Why the
Give
clapping?
it up for Matthew. We got, what did we get from him? $55 actually total.
Thank you, Matthew.
From Matthew. That's our executive producer, and our associate executive producer is CONFOX.
Thank you, CONFOX.
Thank you very much. We
got both those people those will be in the credits, in the description.
They'll be in the credits, description. I'm gonna make a fucking Google Doc, and I'm gonna keep track of all this shit. So you are producers. Put that on your resume.
Brag to people about it.
Yeah, I produced a podcast. I produced episode 5 of a podcast. Congratulations, everybody. You did it.
You did it. Congratulations.
Let's talk about emails.
That was an Evangelion joke.
Yes, which I'm dreading when we do Evangelion.
Oh, boy.
So now the emails. This is the notes from the fans portion. We got some fan art. Look at this.
They can't look at this.
That looks like garbage. Thank
you. Wow.
He put in the email like, hey, I did this in Paint.
I like it. It's got like kind of a postmodern.
Yeah, all right. Same guy sent a real question, though.
Okay.
He didn't say if he wants to be anonymous or not, so I'm going to assume he's anonymous. If you're worried about writing a note,
we'll just assume you're anonymous.
We'll assume you're anonymous, unless you say otherwise. Here we go. This is actually about Pig. This is our first email
finally
about the thing that we're reviewing.
Okay.
Do you think there is a serious underlying theme of Nick's two disciples? If not, consider yes.
Say that again?
Nick's two disciples. Nicolas Cage's Robin.
Robin disciples. What do you mean?
He refers to the chef Derek and the baker.
What do you mean two disciples? Though I don't understand the
followers of Robin Feld in the movie Pig. He uses the word disciples because these are people like followers of him.
So read that again? I don't understand.
Take the email.
Okay. Do you think there's a serious underlying theme of Nick's two disciples? If not, consider reading the rest of this. I hope you guys don't have something cool to say about the persimmon tree. I don't. I hope you guys do. Oh, I see. His first disciple continued his journey on cooking, where he became a slave to the machine. He rejected his aspirations to achieve monetary and glamour in the mainstream. His second disciple didn't continue cooking and became a baker. Instead of chasing mainstream clout, they stuck to tradition, even keeping the same salted French bread recipe.
I didn't even think of the tradition angle. That's interesting.
The other cook's recipe changed with the season. I think this is part of the film that endorsed a traditional lifestyle. It seems like a bit of a stretch. I'll continue. Personally, I also think this, among other things, criticizes Nick's lifestyle because he could have stayed in contact with his friends and family even if he wanted his new lifestyle. This is an aside. This is me speaking, not the guy. I assume he means lifestyle of living in the woods and, I think the movie shows two sides of a coin with Nick and his first disciple. One so afraid of change that he will destroy all connections just so that he doesn't get hurt again, and the other addicted to change, willing to give up all they care about because of the dopamine highs it can give. The baker represents a healthy lifestyle where you attempt to preserve what you can, but also being able to accept what life or God does to test you and or take from you. I think the baker was his daughter, but I don't remember it because it's been too long. If so, I think better proof. It definitely had I was kind of, the whole time you're kind of thinking like, is it his daughter?
Yeah.
But it doesn't, there's nothing that implies that. And he even she speaks to Nicolas Cage like she calls him Robin, which at first is like, oh, they're estranged or whatever. But she also refers to his wife as Lori, so there's no reason to believe that it's his daughter.
Yeah.
Interesting idea, but I think there's a lot of how do you say it? Like a lot of assumption there about because clearly
it's not really in the rest of the movie, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it's an interesting idea. It endorsing a traditional lifestyle, I think, is the biggest stretch in this.
You know what I think might even be evidence towards that is the the scallop dish is referred to as a deconstruction. And this is a thing, like, I'm kind of a food guy. Deconstruction is like a buzzword. Like, we deconstruct this dish. I don't even know what the fuck it means. But, yeah, like tearing something down, deconstructing it.
Well, but here's the thing.
What was there before, you know?
I don't know if the
Confederate monuments.
I don't know if the baker can be that big of a representation of tradition simply because she does change the entire restaurant, and that's what's focused on in the scene is the change. Yeah. Yes, the one item in the store has changed the same, but that's it. One single thing. So it just seems like a bit of a stretch to me to label her as like the symbol of tradition. And then not only that, there's the idea that Nicolas Cage is an agent of change, like is a representation of change, and the other guy also is a representation of change. It invalidates their interaction because that's just one of them convincing the other to do basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And it also means that Nicolas Cage, it's strange for the plot line of the movie being him trying to come to terms with the fact that he needs to like change, basically, like that he needs to come to terms with the death of his wife. That's strange if he is encompassing change, because for 10 years he has not changed, right? He's been out in the woods for 10 years doing the exact same thing, and at the end of the movie he goes back to it. So I don't think he's really a symbol of change.
Very interesting
but
thought,
it's very
though.
Interesting. I kind of want to mull it over some more, but initially I don't really see it.
We got one from our executive producer,
okay.
Matthew.
Okay, all right.
He's got a couple things. Any ghost stories or demon stories in the case of Michael?
Oh, because do you believe in ghosts? I don't. I think they're demons.
Well, yes.
Okay, well, ghost stories? No, I've never seen a ghost.
I've seen an orb.
Okay, Dalton, whatever.
I've seen an orb. I've seen one. If you know what an orb is, look it up. I've seen.
I know what an orb is. It's a shape.
I'm talking to I'm talking to the viewers, the listeners.
They know what orbs
the producers.
are. They can imagine what you mean when you say you saw an orb.
I saw an orb.
I think it's possible you saw an orb.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
I
not
don't have any big stories, whatever.
No, I don't have a ghost story.
I think I might be being mildly oppressed by a demon lately, though.
You think?
Yeah, this never used to happen, but now whenever I'm getting like angry or upset or stressed about something, I'll have like this is a quote. I'll have like "God damn it" on the tip of my tongue, which is like not something I've ever said.
Oh,
so it's weird.
Yeah,
it's weird, isn't it?
There could be something with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm praying for that to go away.
Yeah, if you the prayer I recommend.
I came real close one time. I went God. Oh. So,
do you pray the precious blood, that one?
No, I just pray. Please take it. I don't want this.
That's a good one. Is precious blood wash over me, and then how does it go exactly? I say it all the time. You ever have those prayers you say all the time, and then you try and vocalize it, and it's like I just say it in my head. It's all automatic. So when I start to really think about it and deconstruct
if you know what's going, I'll look it up. That'd be good to know.
Yeah, precious blood wash over me, protect me from the wickedness and snare of the devil. It takes partially from the St. Michael prayer.
Okay.
And then you say like Saint Father Wolf recommends it, and then he also he follows it up with, because it's usually for a prayer for purity also. So he says like Saint Maria Goretti, pray for me and stuff like that. But
that's a good saint.
Yeah, But I was gonna say though, also say a deliverance prayer.
Okay.
So that's, you say in the name of Jesus, which is the most important part. If you get that, that's the most important part. But in the name of Jesus, I bind any spirit here who's not of the Holy Spirit and send him to the foot of the cross to be judged by our Lord. Or you can be specific. I send the spirit of anger. By the way, do you want to know how Catholic of an environment we live in now? So
no, we live in a small Catholic town.
Me and Dalton, we've just recently moved to Hyperborea, the middle of nowhere, the Great White North, and there's a surprising amount of Catholics here.
Yeah.
My butcher I go to, I deliver to him, so I go into the back room and everything. I deliver the beer, and he has on his wall, pinned up, written out, in the name of Jesus Christ, I bind you, spirit of anger, and send you to the foot of the cross. Like, exactly that. So, he had a problem with anger. He, has it written on his wall, this prayer.
That rocks, dude.
It's just something that was just happenstance.
That's inspiring. You should have that stuff around.
Yeah.
It's great to see.
His office has a bunch of Catholic stuff in it.
I do have a little bit of demon stuff for you, though.
Okay.
My dad's getting a lot of talk in this pod. Hey, Dad, if you're listening, he might listen. I don't know.
Okay. You told him about it.
I told him about it because he has an iPhone, so I need his review on Apple Podcasts. We gotta know a new and noteworthy. He's been having like lots of weird medical issues for the past like 5 years or something.
That can be real demonic oppression.
Which that's
possible.
And that's not the first thing you would go to if you had a medical issue. You don't assume it's demons.
No.
But he's gone to many doctors, and the conclusion they've come to is, I don't know.
Yeah. To be fair,
It was idiosympathic. There's a word for it.
Idiosyncratic?
No, that is a philosophy term. But it means
idiosympathetic as in strange symptoms.
No, it means I wish I knew the exact
or unique
word.
symptoms, like unknown symptoms.
Shut the fuck up.
Sorry.
It's a medical term that means we don't know why this is.
Well, that makes sense because idio, as in an idiom, something unique to a culture, and then symptomatic. So idiosymptomatic.
Look at Mr. Big Brain over here.
No,
Mr. Entomologist.
It
Michael.
probably means symptoms that seem unique to the individual.
Yeah.
Symptoms that they cannot.
I don't care what the word is.
Okay,
but he's got all these weird medical issues, and the doctors can't figure it out, and they don't seem to be going away. And they started to go away a little bit when he was thinking about converting, and then he stopped, and they seem to be coming back. So, Dad, please consider that. But yeah, demonic oppression has been known to just cause medical issues. Like this happens.
Oh, it's real. It causes mental issues too, and it can go between generations. This is actually something.
There's not just demon possession. There's demon. You might be noticing we're not saying possession. We're saying oppression.
Mm-hmm, it's different.
Yeah, it is very different.
Well, and it's different in not just the way. What's the second one? There's oppression,
possession,
but there's another one, like a lower one, I think.
I don't remember.
Okay, but they fall into different ranges also of how common they are. Mm-hmm. Possession is not common.
Yeah.
Although it's becoming I've read the chief exorcist of Rome and like all these different people.
Father Ripperger talks about
it. Especially in Mexico, it's becoming very much more common.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they're all losing the faith.
They're also very. It's a very.
They're becoming superstitious.
A very superstitious culture, exactly.
Yeah.
And they got Santa Muerto and.
As Chesterton said, as religion declines, superstition rises.
Interesting.
Which is true. It's very true. But I was going to say, though, oppression is a lot more common. And it can actually affect entire, families. You can have, a demonic oppression of a family that gets passed on genetically. Which is an example, by the way, of something that... Okay, this is an aside, but we're in the break section, so we can talk about basically anything right now.
Yeah.
So just quick aside. I released a video recently about how anime...
We got an email about that, by the way.
Oh, well then read that first.
Well, I want to finish my topic then. Well, we'll get to your thing. Table that.
Table it.
Because I got another demon thing to tell you.
We'll circle back.
Yeah. I got another demon thing I got to tell you.
Okay.
So, oppression, right? Mm-hmm. This is weird. Okay. You might be able to attest to this.
Okay.
During baptisms, when you convert, 3 exorcisms are performed on the person converting, right? Have you noticed that since my wife converted, years ago, you knew her before she converted.
Yeah.
She's been way nicer.
Oh, for sure.
She was mean as shit before she converted.
To be fair, despite being, I'd consider myself a very religious person.
Yeah.
I'm still a very skeptical person. So my immediate thought is she's also been kind of working through problems.
That's true.
Like that. You know what I mean?
People have noticed. People that she knew before have commented you're way nicer.
It's true. And
that was the dividing line.
I agree, but it's also she started maybe addressing her problems a little more seriously when she became Catholic as well.
That was later.
Okay. All right.
I'll tell you that was later.
Okay. No, I think it's very possible.
I'm not saying that is what happened.
But it's very possible. I think it's very much, yeah.
And, hey, either way, I'm glad she fucking got baptized.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Okay, next. Matthew's a follow-up, by the way, too.
Okay.
He's got 2 follow-ups. He suggests Evangelion and the rebuilds.
We should. We absolutely need to.
He said, and a really good suggestion.
Should we do the rebuilds separate? It's hard because I haven't seen any of them, so I don't know.
Evangelion is a big can of worms, and you might need to... Well, Matthew is, greasing the wheels a little bit. So his Evangelion suggestion might take a little precedence.
That's the thing. He's given us $55. That's more than anyone's ever given us so far. Well, I've had more on stream, but for this.
He also suggests, this is an interesting suggestion, Binding of Isaac. Because
it does have some religious... I feel like that would be a short episode.
It's a game with hundreds of hours of content, since it's one of those dungeon crawler games that you beat over and over again to get the item. Okay, whatever. Heavy Christian themes.
Heavy Christian themes for sure.
A very interesting suggestion.
Interesting, big time commitment if we want to really... Like, there's a basic level, like, what the story is, which there isn't much to it, I don't think. But there's also a lot to explore in that game. Like, for instance, that game has satanic imagery. I don't know if you know that. It has, like satanic symbols and stuff, which is used as...
It's presented as bad.
It is presented as bad, but they're also presented as, like, weapons that you acquire, and they have, like, worthwhile trade-offs.
Yeah.
But sometimes those trade-offs are quite bad, and obviously you can't portray losing your soul in a game, really. So they portray it as, like, being a glass cannon or, like, having less health or whatever.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, there's interesting stuff you could explore.
You're giving away a part of yourself.
Yeah.
In real life, you give away all of yourself.
It is. There could be a lot to say with it. It also makes me think we should do an episode on, like, a Shin Megami Tensei game or Persona.
Oh, that means I would have to play one.
Well, Shin Megami Tensei games aren't as long as the Persona games.
Yeah, but
they don't feel as
They
long.
Interest me in no way.
Shin Megami Tensei doesn't at all?
I don't like turn-based.
Do you know the basis of Shin Megami Tensei?
I don't care. I don't care.
No, you'll love this. You'll love this. The idea that the Jews and the Japanese have a common ancestor.
Okay.
That is the most interesting shit, dude.
I'd rather watch you play it. I don't want to do turn-based combat.
Well, then you could watch me play it. I would stream it. You
Maybe
would watch
I will.
it.
Next email. Hello, Mikhail Gorbachev and Daytona 500. Whoa, docs. Come on. I was personally wondering if you guys were ever planning on reviewing The Matrix. Probably. That's a pretty obvious choice, I think, for a show like this. The first movie only, obviously, since I don't think really either of you would be willing to binge the entire trilogy at once. I did recently, so you're wrong.
I still haven't seen 2 or 3.
Or
The Animatrix.
Oh, it is interesting, too. And if you do end up reviewing it, when the 4th movie comes out, would you be willing to do a review on that? Did you know?
They're making a 4th movie?
Yes, the Wachowski
siblings.
abominations.
the Wachowski relations.
I don't even know what they are anymore. They're going to change to be something.
Well, they're still brothers, let's be clear.
Yeah.
That's why we can't get a sponsorship.
That's why we can't get sponsorship, ladies and gentlemen.
Certainly not from the Wachowskis.
It's fucking pissing off the sponsors. Let's see. Okay. This is sincerely your dearest, faraway, filthy, agnostic viewer who lives in an Orthodox country. Look, don't call yourself bad for being agnostic.
I wonder if that's the Croatian guy.
Yeah,
no, they're more Catholic. I wonder, the Slovak guy, I guess.
Look, agnostic makes... If you're not Catholic, it's the only thing that makes sense. Agnostic means you're on your way somewhere.
Yeah.
People are like, okay, agnostic, okay, fuck you. It's like, no, that's a man who's still feeling it out. You know what I mean?
I agree, but I also... Yeah, no, I agree.
When I was at my most, like, nihilistic or whatever, I could never say I was an atheist because I always said, like, look around, dude. Clearly something is going on. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely something here. So, yeah, don't be... I mean, unless you're Catholic, you can't rag on being agnostic. Dude, don't be too mean to yourself. Next question. This, I know who sent this. Okay. Michael, you probably know who sent this, but is not... It seems to be anonymous.
Okay.
As you know, Mike Ma dedicated his new book, Gothic Violence, to Jesus Christ.
That's true. As well as...
Other people. John Mouse, whose music...
John Mouse. That's the one that I thought was really...
Yeah, John Mouse is a cool choice.
John Mouse is a cool choice. Jesus Christ came first, though.
I am...
in the list.
Everyone else is on a different line, by the way. Jesus Christ gets front and center.
Yeah.
I'm also writing a book, and I dedicate it to God and the Virgin Mary every time I sit down to write. Of course, I've thought about writing the Virgin Mary in the book's printed dedication, but I hesitate for 2 reasons. Is it wrong to dedicate a book to Mary if, one, it isn't any good? not because of malice or laziness on the part of the author, just pure incompetence. Wouldn't it be kind of presumptuous to dedicate a book like this to a holy figure? And two, if it has a good message but questionable content. 2 examples of this spring to mind are Black Snake Moan, which is such an irrelevant movie to do for us, but it would be interesting to talk about, and The Witch. Both movies, I'm pretty sure, would send you to heaven, but I definitely wouldn't show to kids. Would it be appropriate to dedicate something like this to the Blessed Virgin Mary? I just don't know. Thank you for reading.
I would say, well, so it's not impossible to make a work of art that is in some way questionable, that is still ultimately, it depends on what your intentions were when creating it. Like, why is that scene there, for instance? And that why you put the scene there will sort of play into how the scene is portrayed. Like if you have a sex scene in a book or something, is what it sounds like you're talking about, or something questionable like that. Then if you're luridly describing it, then your purpose was clearly to agitate the reader. Whereas if it's just something that happens and you describe sort of, it's an important plot point that you're describing the aftermath of or something, you know what I mean? Then your intention was not to arouse.
Look, the Blessed Virgin Mary has seen some shit. She was there at the crucifixion.
True, yeah.
She saw God murdered.
Right.
It's hard to scandalize that.
Well, okay, but you should still. What he's saying is it appropriate? And if you're writing something, if you're writing literotica, then no, it's not appropriate, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you're like a Catholic guy,
intention's very important. I think.
Yeah, if you're a Catholic guy and that has informed your entire writing, then it's perfectly reasonable. And the point about it being bad is we can only offer up our works. We can only offer up what ultimately anything we offer up is nothing. I mean, Aquinas, when he died, Aquinas is one of the greatest thinkers of all time, and he said it's all. What did he say? All sand,
straw.
That's what. Yeah,
the Summa Theologica.
Which is very good.
Saint Thomas Aquinas himself, doctor of the church, said, "It's but straw, man. This is fucking stupid."
Yeah, and
really, probably. Outside of the Bible and maybe Augustine, probably the greatest written contribution to Catholicism.
Yeah, it's really
yeah.
So it's if even that is straw, don't you offer up what you got,
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be worried for that reason. And you're saying
even if it's not any good, if you want it, intention.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You said it's not because of malice.
God knows where you are.
Wrong. Yeah.
God knows your ability. Offer it up.
Well, and what the what's going to happen? You know what I mean? You put it in the beginning.
Biblical. This person, look, there's all these people who are given 10 talents, 5 talents. This person was given 1 talent and is saying it's only 1 talent. It's just not going to do anything. God wants that 1 talent. He gave you that. That's what he wants from you.
Well, and also you got to think practically what's going to happen if you put this at the beginning of your book. People are going to see it, and they'll either say, wow, I really liked this. It's cool that he's Catholic. Or they're going to say, well, this is garbage, but I don't know. I guess that has nothing to do with the fact that he's Catholic. You know what I mean? There's no bad outcome, really. If somebody, for some reason, reads it and says, oh, it's garbage. Oh, it's probably because he's Catholic. Then it's that guy doesn't read much. And also... that guy made up his mind a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about that at all. Although I'd make sure your work is clean to some extent. But that's intention.
Yeah, not to scandalize.
Yeah.
Okay, last email. Also, we got a lot of anonymous. Unless, I don't know, whatever.
People might just not say.
I watched the whole movie and I have no idea what to say. It was like a wild dream. I couldn't tell if it was super deep or some weird artsy film. Okay. I guess valid opinion on Pig.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think it's that hard to grasp, but
I agree with him. The first time I watched it, I was like, I feel nothing.
But about the video Yeoman just released on his YouTube, great editing, by the way. Thank you. I edited it. So before we get into this, do you want to tell us what the video is about?
I released a video that goes into basically.
I released the video.
You did release a video. I wrote a video about the idea that there is a connection between watching cute girls doing cute thing anime and transgenderism, specifically male to female. Not that one necessarily always causes the other or is the only means of causing the other, but that there is a connection there. And then also somewhat exploring the idea of just media in general having an influence, like you are what you consume.
Yeah.
But that's generally what the video is about.
Yeah.
It's not very long. It's a jokey video, but
Yeah, it's called Hypothesis Anime Makes You Trans. Go watch it.
YouTube.com/yeomanvideo, I think, is the
Yes.
URL for my channel.
Yeah.
YEOMANVIDYA.
Yeah, and give that video a watch. It's good. It's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, it actually is.
It's a lot.
You've been astroturfing it on the LGBT board, so.
Yeah.
And that it worked.
It worked. Everyone says, like, shilling your own stuff, and it's like, dude, I'm going to
I love that the responses are like, this video was actually really good, but you shouldn't shill!
Okay, let's see. It's very true that the things you watch and... Screen turned off. It's very true that what you watch and consume can very easily pervert your very own mind.
Yes. That is like one of the basic premises of this show.
Yeah,
this podcast.
It is. Dude, this guy uses no punctuation in the whole thing.
Very cool.
That's a Chad move.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. That's like a Bronze Age pervert move where he just starts talking like a caveman.
Yeah, nice. So where I used to not really care what media I consume, I have realized that for sure the media I have watched has perverted me emotionally and sexually. So fight back, kings. Don't accept the world.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Good
Nice.
message. Yeah.
Nice message. And last, as promised, we will be reading the iTunes reviews for the next, 8 weeks because we need this attention on iTunes, new and noteworthy. So here's what we got so far.
What the fuck was I gonna say about the show? About the video because you delayed me and then.
I don't know, but the podcast is structured better because of it. So you're welcome.
All right, whatever.
Let's see. Matthew left us a review. Look at all of the value he's providing us.
Thanks, Matthew.
From the perspective of someone who isn't even Catholic, the two hosts have great chemistry. Thanks, buddy. And there is never a boring moment. I disagree.
A lie.
Just listen and see for yourself. Funny and informative for all. 5 stars. Thank you very much, Matthew. And the next one, Jammy Boy. Truly a deep podcast only for peak intellectuals who want to explore culture from a Christian lens filled with deep esoteric knowledge. 5 stars. Very nice reviews. I want to see more of that. I want to see my name up there right next to This American Life. Right next to NPR.
That would be just hilarious. NPR can suck my dick, by the way. They're the worst.
You know what I would love to do? I don't know how we're going to do it. I would love to do a podcast where we just look and read the descriptions for other podcasts on iTunes and tell
exists.
you who are these podcasts.
Yeah.
But we're just going to do an episode about will podcasts send you to hell? Almost all of them, yes.
A lot of them. Yeah.
Garbage. Fucking garbage.
I agree. I'm fucking so annoyed that I can't remember what I was gonna say about the review. Because there was something.
The review.
Not the review. I just think of all my analysis videos as reviews. The video that just came out. But I just bugging the hell out of me.
It's
You
gone.
interrupted my...
Remember by the end. Because it's time to get back to the show.
All right.
Would you think of Pig? Yeah. Give me your spiel on Pig.
Okay.
You know what I think about Pig? I told you about how the kid is biblical. So
right.
Go ahead and prove me wrong. Go ahead and prove Jesus wrong, Michael.
Right. Well, not fair. But I found Pig to be a nihilistic movie. And this was both my initial emotional response to the movie and also as I looked more into it, seemed to be more and more proven to be the case. And I think one of the best ways of realizing this is that, well, okay, I guess what first tips you off to that it's a nihilistic movie is Nicolas Cage's speeches. One especially about him saying we would all be underwater, we're all going to be underwater, and that speech does not end with him saying like, so do what you think is important. That's a different speech, which he does say. But that speech is just like, it's all gonna.
Do you know what he says
away.
at the end?
It's all pointless. What?
Or maybe at the beginning. Very important line.
Okay.
He says either the beginning or the end. You don't have to care.
That's towards the beginning.
You can choose not to care.
That's towards the beginning.
Yeah.
But it's a nihilistic message. Well, okay. Then he has the other speech with Dennis, Chef Dennis, or whatever his name is. Derek. Where he's talking about, he doesn't just say, because you mentioned this, but you didn't phrase it exactly how he phrased it, which is, he says, they don't exist. The critics, all of the, like he says, they don't exist, you don't exist. And it seems that he's trying to say that in a way that like, to prove to him that it doesn't matter insofar as other people's opinions don't matter. But what he literally says is, you don't exist.
So what I got from that is that he's putting on something that doesn't exist. What you are becoming does not exist.
Right.
There's, like he says later, every day there's less of you.
I can see that, but that's also following the speech from before where he says we're all going to be underwater.
Yeah.
Which together seems very nihilistic. And also, nihilistic does not mean... Okay, well, there's two sides to this. I was about to say nihilistic does not mean without meaning. It does, obviously. But that's not how like a Nietzschean perspective would look at nihilism, right? There's the idea of like the Übermensch, or like somebody who takes a sort of, not even Übermensch necessarily, but like somebody who takes a sort of power from nihilism and creates their own morality in the emptiness of nihilism.
Yeah, it's a false start. It's
completely stupid, to be clear. But that is somewhat the impression I got from this. He's very nihilistic, and when he introduces some idea of like, you should, we only get so much to care about, and you should be you. It's not because like he doesn't say like, cooking is valuable. Like cooking is an art form. Running a tavern is an art form. It'll make you happy, and you're called to be happy. Or it's more just like you need to be you, and you need to willfully project yourself onto the world. And you are becoming less and less of yourself. That's a Nietzschean idea. Like it's very much like you need to use your willpower to overcome the Maya of the people around, the dream, of the people that don't actually exist. You exist, though. Like, if you have the willpower to project yourself on reality, then you exist, and you're creating your own meaning. So I found all of that as a very nihilistic idea. But then, also, we look at the progression of Nicolas Cage. And I think this movie is about distraction. And that every character, Nicolas Cage, the three main characters, are Nicolas Cage, Amir, and his father, are distracting themselves from death. And I'm kind of two minds whether I think, like I said before, that the director did a bad job at expressing a good message or a good job at expressing a bad message. But it seems like you look at the movie and it's supposed to be about distraction. And that's why the movie's called Pig. Because the pig dies, and that's the point at which Nicolas Cage has a big realization that his wife really is dead. And is like confronted with that.
He even says, very interesting line, in my head, if I didn't go looking for the pig, she'd still be alive.
And then Amir says, but she wouldn't be.
Yeah.
And it's so the...
Oh! I had a little realization about that.
Okay. He's talking about his wife.
He's talking about his wife.
He's talking about his wife. Yeah. He's talking about his wife, which is why the movie is called Pig, but the movie is not about the pig. Mm-hmm. But the movie is about distraction. What's his main distraction? The pig is the symbol of his distraction. Him going out as a hermit into the middle of the woods and avoiding confronting his wife being dead, which is why he has such an emotional breakdown when the pig dies, is because it's symbolic of his wife's death and symbolic of the disillusion of his distraction.
Yeah. The
pig is dead. He's lost that distraction. But, and this moment happens with the other two too. Amir's father is confronted with the meal, and that reminds him of the dying, at least, death or dying, of his wife, and he breaks down, and Amir, after he drops off Nicolas Cage, is like curled up in a ball in his car and breaking down. They all have this breakdown moment. But, right, that's the moment where you would say, okay, that's the emotional... Like in real life, people generally do this one of two ways if they're changing their life, changing who they are. It's either gradual, or it's all at once, big realization, or it's both. But in this, so they had the big realization, and you could argue it was gradual before that too, and there's both of them, but whatever. He has this big realization, this big confrontation. And then what does he do, though? We don't see what the father does. We don't see him try and, like, go to his wife or reconcile with his kid, nothing. We don't see what Amir does. We don't see him try and reconcile with his father or take some other course in his life, nothing. We don't see either of them. So, in the film of movie, I think a movie, I feel like I'm getting in a lot of directions. I'm scattered, but this is important. I think a movie is a moral universe in itself. It's a self-contained moral universe. So what we see in the movie is what we assume is universal to the morality of the universe of the movie. So whatever Nicolas Cage does, if you view the movie that Nicolas Cage confronts his problems at the end, you'll assume that the other two characters did the same.
That's what I did.
See? Okay, so that's what I mean when I say that it's a self-contained moral universe. You universalize it all in terms of the movie. But what does Nicolas Cage actually do? He goes back to the diner. He's driven back to the diner by Amir. He says the thing about, like, if I hadn't gone and looking for her, it would be like she wasn't actually dead. He's clearly talking about his wife there. And then he walks back, a scene which, by the way, seems like he's going to kill himself. That's the impression I got. And I think there is supposed I think there is supposed to be an idea about... I think you are supposed to be slightly concerned for him because Amir is concerned for him. This is the only line in the movie, I think, that is repeated. Amir says, "Are you okay?" And then he says, "I think I'm going to walk." And then Amir says, again, "Are you okay?" Yeah. Because it's a long-ass walk. Like, Amir knows he's a weird guy. He's not asking at this point in the movie, "Are you okay?" because he's doing something weird. He knows he's weird at this point in the movie. He's worried because he just had an emotional breakdown, and he knows that, like, he's already learned that his wife is dead, but he's never talked about his wife is dead to Amir. So, like, he's worried about, like, his state of mind. But anyway, that's not super important, but I think it's worth mentioning, especially since I wasn't sure if you had thought that.
I didn't get that he was going to commit suicide.
I think it seemed like that. But then, so what happens? He walks home. He goes back to the exact same situation that he was in before.
But now no pig.
There's no pig. He listens to the tape, and then the movie cuts. There is no indication that he actually is changing anything about his life. In fact, even him listen, you could say, well, he listened to the tape. At the beginning of the movie, he tried to listen to the tape, but he couldn't. But that, if you look at it that way, it actually undermines the idea of him moving on even more. Because actually, at the beginning of the movie, when he tries to listen to the tape, he buys batteries. He has Amir deliver him batteries so that he can put them into the radio and listen to the tape. Which means, if the tape is supposed to be symbolic of him moving on, he made the decision to try and move on long before the movie started. Right? Like, if the whole movie is about him, I think we would agree that the movie is about him not coming to terms with the death of his wife, and he's at least supposed to. I don't think it's portrayed successfully, but he's supposed to come to terms with it at the end of the movie. But if the only symbol of him coming to terms with it is listening to the tape, then it's very much undermined by him deciding to listen to the tape before the movie even started.
He orders batteries at the beginning?
When Amir, I was arguing with your wife about this earlier. I didn't think this would come up again. I was arguing with your wife about this, and she didn't believe me either, so I showed her in the movie where it happens. Because Amir brings the package of food and everything, and in that is batteries, which he puts into the radio. Wait,
but that doesn't matter because he still can't listen to the tape.
Well, but it shows if the progression of the movie is supposed to be that he's supposed to come to terms with the death and be able to confront it, then what happens in the movie doesn't really matter because he had already made that decision. He was going to get there. But he can't listen
to the tape.
He listens to some of it. So I would disagree on that as well. And also, this is another point.
I'm making an incredulous face for the listeners at home.
Even if that's supposed to be a change, why is it a change for the better? why would we ever see him listening to the tape of his dead wife as a positive change in his life? I'd give an example, for instance, where it's very obviously the opposite. But it would... This is a spoiler for Breaking Bad, season 3 or 4, okay? Do you know where I'm going?
I've seen Breaking Bad, yeah. Okay.
It's a spoiler for season 3 or 4 of Breaking Bad, somewhere around there.
Oh,
so
I know what you're talking about.
The next few minutes, don't listen to if you don't want to listen to Breaking. If you don't want to know spoilers for Breaking Bad,
we'll probably do Breaking Bad at
an episode on. There's this not just scene, but like the kind of plot of Jesse's girlfriend dies, and he tortures himself by listening to the answering machine of his girlfriend over and over, which is symbolic.
Isn't that heartbreaking?
It's hard, yeah. Which is symbolic of his ability not to move on. Yeah. Because this goes into the, there's the beauty, the truth, and the good. This goes into the truth of the matter. In Breaking Bad, Jesse listening to that over and over is true. That is how people torture themselves when they can't move past someone's death. So why would I think if I'm supposed to believe that Nicolas Cage is listening to this tape as a way to move forward, that's not true. It's not true to life. That's not how it works. And again, it would be different if we saw something else at the end. For instance, if he listened to the tape and then threw it away. Maybe that's a little on the nose. I'm not a director, but there should be something. There should be something that indicates that he's moving on. But instead, he's actually torturing himself more than he was even able to in the past. And it's clearly torture because at the beginning, he couldn't get through it because of the emotion, like the emotions. He couldn't get through it, which he needs to face those emotions. I agree with that. But it's hard for me to look at the tape and say that is a sign of him moving on, especially when there is nothing else that shows that he is changing his life. There's nothing that shows that he is going to... he's back exactly where the movie started, right? He's in the same situation without a pig, but he's still living...
Okay, you made your point. Okay.
The setting is also symbolic, is what I was going to say. The setting is symbolic of him running away, but he's back at the same setting at the end. Mm-hmm. He even says to Amir, see you on Thursday. As in, he's going to continue to do his job out in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's also worth pointing out that he shakes Amir's hands. I expect at that moment, they've gotten pretty close over the course of this movie.
They've become like father and son.
Exactly. I expected a hug.
I expected a hug too.
I think you're supposed to expect a hug. Another important point about the handshake, it happens off screen. The handshake, it cuts off at like their elbow at the bottom part of the screen. He is so still disconnected from life. Like, if we're supposed to believe that he is now facing his problems and feeling his emotions and becoming sincere, he can't even give an on-screen hand. Like, the fact that the handshake is off-screen is supposed to show, I think, how distant he still is.
Can I say something?
Okay.
So, I don't agree with you, but I'm helping your point here.
Okay.
Some people might be saying like, oh, come on. Really? You're getting a symbol from that? You know how hard it is to set up shots? How much time it takes?
Yeah.
I guarantee you thought was put into that handshake was off-screen.
Oh, absolutely.
I will say that some stuff Michael does is nitpicking. I don't think this is one.
Because the thing is, if the handshake was on screen, I think a handshake can be an affectionate thing shown in a movie.
Absolutely.
But you would show it. If you're showing it off screen, it's very businesslike.
You'd almost like zoom in on the hands.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of what you'd naturally do.
But he clearly purposefully had it off the margins, like outside of the screen, to show that he is still distant. And so the message of the movie, I think, ends up being that, especially when you think about the other two characters who haven't shown any sort of progress towards anything other than having an emotional breakdown, is that people can have an emotional breakdown, can be confronted head on with the things that they need to face to move on with their lives. That they can have this big moment and despite that, change nothing about their lives. And I think it's worse than that. Because I could see watching a movie and saying that, okay, well that's a good message because that's real.
That's very true.
People do that. But...
Dad, convert.
But it's not just that. A movie is a full moral universe. Every major character of the movie does this. So the movie is not saying people have this ability. The movie is saying this is what people do. It offers, not even in a minor character, an example of someone facing their problems and actually changing. You can assume, you can hope that some other character did, not Dennis, Derek. You can hope that he changed, but we actually don't see. We just see the breakdown. So he may have ended just the way as the other characters, having a breakdown, and then we don't see any actual change. So it actually has the message that no one changes. Like, even when you have this big emotional breakdown, people don't change. And that's why it's a nihilistic movie.
Two things.
I might know one of them.
You know one of them.
Okay, we'll save that one then.
Yeah, I am going to save that one. So, so the thing about listening to the tape, the tape at the end with his wife's tape.
Right.
How that kind of undermines it, how he's like still torturing himself, not moving on. Mm-hmm. Well, sincerity is kind of about facing your own emotions. And now he's ready to feel the emotions of his wife leaving. I'm not saying the tape is the most effective thing. Throughout the whole podcast, I have not said it's really effective. I think that probably could have been done better. You probably could have picked a better symbol, a better way to portray this. But I think that is what it's going for there. I think that now he's ready to feel these emotions of his wife leaving, which is coming to. It's not moving on. It's more coming to terms. If you know what I mean.
I think it probably is what was intended, but
which is important.
He already had the emotional breakdown. You can't
about the pig.
No, about his wife. It's about his wife.
Are you sure?
Yes. It is clearly about his wife. They even say it in case you didn't realize.
Yeah.
In the next scene where they say, if I hadn't gone looking for her, I wouldn't know she's dead. That's a little nudge. Like, you did realize it was about his wife, right?
I didn't get that till right now.
Also just I don't remember what were you saying.
No, because listen, now he's ready to feel the emotions of.
But he felt the emotions.
No, what he realized he felt the emotions. I don't think the pig cry now, which is also the wife cry.
It's the climax of the movie. If the climax of the movie is just about the pig, it's a pretty irreverent movie. But I'm just saying.
But I think then he's ready to really face that she's gone and listen to it and feel the emotions that he feels that now that she's gone. I think that's what that means.
But that doesn't go against.
We can argue forever about that one. We're not. One is sort of more open to interpretation.
I would just say it doesn't go against the idea, though, of what I think the theme ends up being.
The next thing I say will.
Well, okay, but let me finish. I don't think it goes against the idea of what the theme I think ends up being, because that just shows that he's had the emotional reaction, but we don't see him actually change anything. Like nothing changes in his life. And I know, okay, now I will invalidate my own point, because I know what you're going to bring up next. Watching the movie the second time, I noticed one detail, which I've already said, which makes me conflicted, because it's minor. I will say it's minor, but
it's major.
But it's minor insofar as it's like literally 2 seconds of the movie. But it's also the last 2 seconds of the movie.
Which makes it very important.
Which is that he looks up, and everything I've said.
Light on his face. There's light shining in down on his face. He's looking up.
I still stand by everything I said so far, but he looks up, and if he looks up, that is clearly a symbol that that is him moving on. That's him almost implied religiously moving on, right? That's a clear religious symbol. I mean, it's as old as it gets. Looking up with light on your face. You know what I mean? It's kind of on the nose. But it's on the nose, and yet I kind of missed it the first time.
Yeah.
But because of that changes everything. And it's I could see somebody saying, like, Michael, I mean, if the whole movie's nihilistic and then the last literal 2 seconds are different, how the rest of the movie's still nihilistic, right? And it's like, no. And the example I would use, because I've been thinking about this.
The example I'd use is my own life.
That's sad to compare. That could be sad because of what
my example is. But it's not because of the last.
Well, I was going to say, that's sad because of what my example was about to be, which was divorce. Which is, if you have kids and you raise them and they feel they have a happy childhood, and then at 18 you divorce your wife, you have ruined your kid's childhood. They no longer have a happy childhood. Like retroactively, because that's the way memories work. So if you watch a movie and you enjoyed it the whole time, and then the ending is bad, it wasn't a good movie. And you will supersede those memories. You'll overwrite the memories, and now the entire thing you will remember as having been bad. You'll gaslight yourself. which is real. Like, that's what I mean. The example, your memories will change to fit the truth. For instance, if you were a kid and you saw like a big plane flying through the sky, but you didn't know what it was. You had no idea, and you were stupid. You thought it was a giant bird, right? And that's what you remember until you then like ask your dad what that is, and he's like, "No, that's like a Boeing 747, and you know, it's a plane. It's something that moves through the sky and transports tons of people." And he explains it to you. Your memory will change. You will not think to yourself, "I saw a giant bird." You'll think, "I saw a plane. I mistook it for a giant bird, but I saw a plane." You don't think anymore, "I saw a giant bird." It's the same thing. You won't say, "I saw a good movie." You'll say, "I thought I saw a good movie." And then it wasn't a good movie. It's the same. Your memories will go back through time. Memory exists outside of time in a way.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Weirdly, yes.
Yeah,
we could do a podcast on that one.
Oh, for sure.
But just take us.
I think Proust writes a lot about that, actually.
Take our word for that one.
We could review Proust. But, so, in the same way, these last 2 seconds of the movie make me somewhat gaslight myself in it, because I can't deny that when I finished this movie the first time, I had a nihilistic, empty feeling. I can't deny that someone watching this movie might have that same feeling. But I also can't deny now, looking at it, that I like the movie a lot more now that I recognize that the last 2 seconds, he looks up. Because it really changes everything.
Yeah, I know.
Like I said before, now that he looks up, you assume the other 2 characters are also going to change their lives. Because he looked up, you assume that he's going to change something.
Now they're
it's
ready
symbolic.
to be genuine people.
You're assuming that everyone is going to have a happy ending now. Those last 2 seconds change everything. So it's like, but I don't know where I stand. Like I said, because I still had a nihilistic. If I had just watched it one time, I would have come away with a nihilistic message.
Well, now we got to ask the question.
Yeah, will it send you to hell?
Yeah, will it send you to hell?
It's not if you watch it twice.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I tell you, I didn't catch the end at first, but I caught the sincerity part of it. That be a genuine person. Don't lie to yourself. Don't delude yourself. Be real. Follow. Yeah, practically. Bakery's a practical job. Like, follow your passions. Don't be fake for other people and for money especially. Yeah. And I thought, like, oh, that was all great. And then the second time I watched it, I got more of the people are changing their lives. You know, the emotional breakdown and people are ready to move on. That's why I got the second watch. And then I thought that would also send you to heaven.
Right.
So both of my watches were positive. I get very positive things about being genuine, changing your life. But you, the first time you watched it,
it was like
hell.
It definitely hell. And the second time, I was still like, I don't know. And I'm still like, I honestly think I need to watch it a third time to have a definite
It's
answer.
not a long movie.
No, it's only an hour.
We've actually gone
longer than the movie.
32 minutes longer than the movie. Yeah.
But I will say it. I mean, if you listen to this podcast and then you watch the movie, I don't think it'll send you to hell because you'll know he looked up. That's the key. If I can just underline, circle, bold, big letters, he looks up. That changes everything. So now that you know that, I don't think it will send you to hell. Like, honestly, I think the movie is. I mean, it's hard, right? Like, but you need to look at the movie as a whole. The whole of the movie is informed by the end. So, despite the fact that at the end of my first viewing and for 90% of my second viewing, I thought it would send me to hell and didn't enjoy it that much. Despite those things, I think it won't send you to hell because he looks up.
And your movie's right.
Look up.
Get a good
Make him look up. Make him look up.
Make whatever piece of shit movie you want.
It doesn't matter what the movie is.
A little soft lighting
Have
on the face.
him look up.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
it is dangerously subtle though, I will say.
Yeah.
You miss those last 2 seconds, you blink right before the credits.
Movie's about to end. I'm
You've gone to
gonna
hell.
go take a leak.
Yeah. Seriously, you look away, you look back, movie's over, you're doomed.
Now, maybe. I disagree. I got a different message from you the first time, but I could see someone getting that from the movie.
I did.
Yeah. You're a weird guy, but there's a lot of weird guys out there. So I think people might get that message. I think that's possible. Especially because it's kind of like a more of an artsy thing, and artsy people aren't usually looking for sincerity. They're mostly looking for nihilism. So,
but
maybe.
I wanted to like the movie, to be clear, when I went into it. So,
well, that's the podcast, everybody.
Yeah. Just remember that he looks up.
And remember to go to Apple Podcasts. Leave a review. Just make an account, man. Make a free account. Make a lot of free accounts.
Okay, maybe don't do that.
That might be They might frown
like
upon
yeah,
me saying that. That was a joke. This is a comedy podcast.
Yeah.
And will it send me to hell? Or PayPal.me/will it send me to hell? Patreon.com/will it send me to hell? We can't do it without you. We need your producer credits. Say the credits at the end. Executive producer, Matthew. Associate executive producer, CONFOX. Officially.
Yeah.
Put it on your resumes. Any last words?
He looks up.
All right. Oh, shit. What are we watching next?
We didn't even decide.
We forgot to do that.
We forgot to decide. Do you want to just, in honor of our executive producer, do you want to do Evangelion?
No. Especially because he says, like, you should probably do it with the rebuilds or whatever. And it's like,
I think,
look, I got a wife and a kid. I work full time.
Well, Evangelion clearly would stand on its own. We can just watch Evangelion, and then we could later do a rebuilds episode. If you have another idea, hurry up.
Look, he is the executive producer. I think we should. I don't want to.
Let's do Evangelion then. Just Evangelion. Unless you feel the rebuilds are just movies. They're not long.
No, we'll do Evangelion.
Okay.
I might fast forward through some parts.
That's not allowed. Not allowed to do that. That's not allowed.
I've seen it before. I didn't really like it.
Doesn't matter.
But
you liked it until the end.
Yeah.
When he didn't look up.
The end can suck my dick. Okay. Next one. Evangelion. I hate to say it.
Oh, sick, dude.
Evangelion is the next step. Watch that.
Awesome.
Get your emails in. And if you want us to watch something that's not insane, just send us money.
If it's insane, just send more.
Yeah. Yes, actually. If it's insane, just send more. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.